Have you ever felt like something was just off? Like the world around you had shifted slightly, but maybe no one else seemed to notice. That feeling like you stepped into a dream or maybe more of a nightmare and you just couldn't quite wake up. Well, for some people, this isn't just paranoia or some glitch in the matrix thing. A growing number believe it's something far more terrifying. We're talking about the level 3 monster reality theory. It's this underground conspiracy theory, really, that suggests our world. It's just one layer of many. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore that chilling claim that when reality breaks or maybe glitches, something actually comes through, something from a hidden, deeper realm, one not meant for us.
And it really offers this profound and, frankly, pretty unsettling twist on everything we think we know. The idea that what we see as, a single, stable reality might actually be, well, fragile, just a surface over these terrifying hidden depths. The core idea is that our everyday world, level 1, is potentially just one thin layer, and it's constantly vulnerable, perhaps, to what lies beneath. So yeah, prepare to have your perspective maybe shifted a bit.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Most of us just assume there's, one version of reality, the physical world we see and touch. But this theory claims something totally different. Reality isn't flat, it's stacked. You said like layers, or the theory says like an onion. How does this hierarchy actually work? What are these different levels?
Right, so according to the theory, there are 3 main levels. Level 1 is, well, it's our familiar physical world. It's what we see, hear, touch, measure, our everyday observable reality. Pretty straightforward. Then there's level 2. This is often called the unseen world. It covers things like dreams, thoughts, maybe spirits, potentially even supernatural forces, things that exist but aren't strictly physical like level 1.
Okay, so far so. Maybe a little weird, but manageable. But then there's level 3.
Level 3, yes. This is where it gets truly unsettling. It's described as this terrifying layer, a realm beneath or behind everything else. It's chaotic, it's supposedly sentient, and it doesn't play by our rules of time or space. The sources say it's full of things that are not supposed to exist.
Things not supposed to exist. And just to be clear, we're not talking about another planet or dimension in the sci-fi sense.
No, exactly. It's framed as another version of reality, but one that overlaps ours in rare and dangerous ways. Usually these layers are sealed off from each other, but occasionally they aren't. And when that happens, people report, well, strange things. It's a fundamental shift in how you'd have to view everything.
Okay, so that's the key part. When these layers don't stay sealed, what are people actually reporting? What does a level 3 encounter feel like according to these accounts?
Right, this is where it gets really interesting and disturbing. People who claim to experience level 3 describe a very distinct shift. It's not subtle. It often starts with sensory distortions, maybe a sudden cold rush of air when there's no draft, or weird static hum, sometimes a sudden unnatural silence, or time seems to slow right down, or light bends strangely.
Okay, like the environment itself starts to break down. And
the monsters. And then the monsters, yes. Though maybe monster isn't quite the right word. They aren't usually described like movie creatures, more like shapes that shouldn't exist, things that are too tall or have too many limbs, moving in these unnatural, jerky ways. People mention specific features too. Eyes that seem aware, really aware, voices that don't speak out loud but sort of crawl into your thoughts, shadows that follow you even without a light source, or smiles with no faces attached.
That's deeply unsettling, just the description. Are there other interactions besides just seeing them? Does anything else happen?
Oh, absolutely. Beyond just seeing these things, some people report being pulled somewhere, like suddenly finding themselves in a hallway that just wasn't there a second ago, or looking in a mirror that doesn't reflect properly, shows something wrong, or opening a door that leads to some space that feels outside of time.
And what happens to these people? Do they get back?
The outcomes are varied and, yeah, pretty chilling. Sometimes they say they just snap back, sometimes they don't come back at all, and sometimes, maybe the creepiest part, they come back. But they're different, changed in some fundamental way.
Different how?
The sources are vague, but imply personality shifts, memory gaps, a persistent sense of wrongness. What's fascinating and disturbing is the consistency in these reports. People across the globe, unconnected, describing similar things. It really lends itself to that idea of the veil thinning between realities. And the start is often so similar. That strange hum, a distortion in the air, and then bam, a tear in reality's fabric. Which begs the question, if these creatures don't live here, how do they manage to invade our reality with such specific, consistent effects?
Yeah, exactly. So what are they supposed to be then, if they're not just monsters in the typical sense? Does the theory offer any explanation for their nature?
It doesn't give a single clear answer, no. But it offers some pretty chilling possibilities. Some theories suggest they're entities that literally feed on fear or strong emotion. Others propose they're predators, but from a deeper layer of existence. Not biological, like an animal, but conceptual, made of meaning or maybe anti-meaning.
Conceptual predators. Made of meaning. What does that even mean? How do they attack?
That's the core of their terror, according to the theory. They don't attack you physically, they attack your perception. They twist what you see, what you remember. They can infect your thoughts, undermine logic itself, erase time, or trap you in loops. Essentially, they devour your sense of reality, your sanity.
So it's an attack on the mind, on your experience of the world.
Precisely. And those strange physical features people report, the elongated limbs moving like they're underwater, eyes blinking sideways, mouths that stretch impossibly without opening. It all adds to that feeling of wrongness, of reality breaking down. Plus, there's this overwhelming reported feeling of being watched, intensely watched, judged, maybe even studied.
Studied. Like lab rats. Are they supposed to be intelligent then?
Well, there are sort of two main hypotheses floating around in the source material. One is that, yes, they are intelligent, maybe like scientists in their realm, treating us the way we treat microbes or lab rats, observing, experimenting. The other idea is maybe even creepier, that they're not even intelligent in a way we'd recognize, more like complex programs just running on some completely alien logic we can't comprehend.
Either way, not good.
Not good at all. The consensus in the theory is very clear. They are not friendly, they are not neutral, they do not belong here. And when they show up, something is very, very wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea of an entity that attacks perception itself rather than your physical body is profoundly disturbing. It suggests we have this vulnerability, far deeper than just physical harm. It attacks the very core of your being.
Okay, so if our reality is potentially this fragile surface, what causes the cracks? What acts like a key, opening these brief, terrifying doors into level 3? Are there specific triggers, things that make these encounters more likely?
The theory does identify several potential keys or triggers, yes. Things that supposedly weaken the barrier or make someone susceptible. These include things like extreme trauma or stress. Sensory deprivation seems to be another one. Sleep paralysis comes up a lot in these accounts. Also, high-frequency electromagnetic interference, certain geometric patterns or symbols are sometimes mentioned, and even things like deep meditation or other altered states of consciousness.
So states where the mind is already, maybe, operating differently or under duress.
That seems to be the connection, yeah. And the typical progression of an encounter, as people describe it, it's insidious. It starts small, maybe just a hum in your ears you can't place, that feeling of being watched again, flicker in the corner of your eye. Then the environmental changes might kick in, the light looks too white or the shadows seem too dark, too solid. You start to feel untethered, disconnected. And then the entities might appear.
And they don't always attack, you said. Sometimes they just watch.
Exactly. Their behavior isn't always overtly aggressive. Sometimes they just observe, sometimes they seem to follow people, and sometimes they apparently whisper things. Things you can't quite understand but also can't forget. Horrible things. The duration is also unpredictable. Some encounters are supposedly over in seconds. Others. People report feeling like time just stopped entirely, like they were trapped for ages.
It's also inconsistent yet consistently terrifying.
Right, which leads to that important question. Are these keys, the stress, the EM fields, whatever, are they just conditions that make us more aware of a level 3 that's always sort of bleeding through? Or do these conditions actively create the breach? Do they punch a hole in reality? The emphasis on mental states, environmental factors. It's fascinating. It suggests this deep link between our inner world and these potential outer or maybe, realities.
This is where it gets even stranger, isn't it? Because now we step into the conspiracy side of the theory. Some believers claim it's not just random glitches. They say governments, secret organizations, they know about level 3. What's the story there?
Yeah, the conspiracy angle adds another layer entirely. According to this part of the theory, certain organizations, maybe government agencies or shadow groups, have known about level 3 for decades. They supposedly study the breaches. They monitor people deemed sensitive, those more prone to experiencing these slips. And crucially, they actively cover up reports. When these entities cross over, the claim is these groups step in to contain or erase the incident.
Contain the monsters or erase the witnesses.
Possibly both. The theory suggests the primary fear isn't necessarily the entities themselves, though they're dangerous. The real fear is what their existence reveals, that our reality is not the highest one, that we are not in control. And maybe worst of all, that we are being watched and possibly manipulated. That loss of perceived control is the key.
That's a heavy implication. Are there specifics, like whistleblower accounts?
There are claims within the theory, yes. whispers of people who supposedly work on containment projects. Or even more out there, claims of high-level rituals or complex experiments designed to intentionally access level 3. Perhaps, as the theory chillingly suggests, as a weapon or as a shortcut to power.
Trying to weaponize that. That sounds like playing with fire in the biggest possible way.
Absolutely. And the theory comes with a stark warning right there. Opening the door works both ways. If you reach into level 3, something might reach back. You see how the conspiracy part really taps into that deep existential dread? It's not just monsters under the bed. It becomes about hidden knowledge, manipulation, the very nature of power and control in our world, framing the unknown as this potential geopolitical threat or tool.
Okay, so let's say someone has one of these encounters, they see the impossible, maybe feel that presence, and they survive, they come back. What happens then? You mentioned they might come back different. Are there lasting effects? Aftermath?
Yes. The theory details quite a few chilling side effects or symptoms experienced by those who supposedly encounter level 3 in return. It's often not a clean break. People report things like significant loss of time, blackouts lasting minutes, sometimes hours, with no memory of what happened. Mirror distortion is a common one, seeing movement or figures and reflections that don't match what's actually in the room. Very unsettling. Recurring nightmares are frequently mentioned, often the same terrifying environment, the same entity, playing over and over.
Like PTSD, but from reality itself breaking.
In a way, yeah. There's also this chronic unease, a persistent feeling that something is just fundamentally off with reality from that point on. A constant sensation of being followed or watched, even when they're alone in a locked room. And changes in memory, not just gaps, but friends or family insisting past events happen differently than the person remembers, like their own history is unstable.
Good grief, does it ever go away?
Sometimes. The symptoms reportedly fade over time. Sometimes they get worse. And then there are the really disturbing cases where, in rare instances, the person disappears altogether.
Disappears, just gone.
Gone. And there are two grim theories within the lore for that. One is that it's like the monster comes back for them, pulls them back into level 3 permanently. The other, maybe even more existentially terrifying, is that maybe they never really came back at all from the first encounter. Just an echo or something else wearing their shape.
That just leaves you cold. So if these things aren't physical, if they attack perception, how on earth do you defend yourself? Are there any protections?
This is where the theory gets quite grim, honestly. It's not optimistic. There are no silver bullets, no magic weapons, no safe houses, because as you said, these aren't flesh and blood creatures you can shoot or trap. They're conceptual entities, predators of perception. So the protections that are whispered about, they're not about fighting back physically. They're about mental and perceptual resilience, grounding yourself.
Okay, like what specifically?
Things like, stay grounded. Be hyper-aware of your actual physical surroundings. Some suggest keeping a detailed journal to anchor your memories and sense of time. Avoid isolation. The theory suggests they prey on those who are alone, disconnected. Ignore the whispers. If you hear voices you can't source, do not engage. Don't speak back to what you cannot see. Protect your reflection. Some strands of the theory say mirrors can act as bridges or windows. So, be wary of them. Cover them, maybe. And perhaps the most crucial, don't chase the glitch. If something feels fundamentally wrong, off, distorted, get away. Don't investigate. Walk away. Run away.
Don't poke the weirdness.
Exactly. Don't pull at the loose thread. Because the ultimate warning of the level 3 theory is stark. Once you see level 3 sees you. The lack of, traditional defense methods really underscores how alien these entities are supposed to be. The protections are all about safeguarding your inner reality, your perception, your sanity, because that's what's under attack, not necessarily your body.
Wow, okay. So, wrapping this up. What is level 3 ultimately? Is it meant to be taken literally? Is it a nightmare made real, a complex metaphor for madness or trauma? Or is it, as the believers claim, a hidden truth about reality leaking through the cracks of our comfortable illusion? It seems like nobody knows for sure, but the theory is out there, it's growing, and maybe more people are reporting these signs, these glitches.
And it brings us right back to that fundamental unsettling question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are these experiences, however consistent, simply shared psychological phenomena? Maybe archetypes bubbling up from the subconscious? Or is the increasing number of reports actual evidence that the veil, the barrier between these supposed layers of reality, is genuinely growing thinner? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What little glitches might you, listening right now, have experienced and just dismissed? That moment of déjà vu, that shadow you thought you saw, that time distortion.
Makes you second guess things.
And here's one final thought, something to really chew on that builds on this. What if the glitches, the breaches, aren't entirely random? What if they're actually a sign of something learning, something on the other side adapting, figuring out how to interact with our reality more effectively, honing its methods for crossing over?
Okay, that's a truly chilling thought to end on. Something definitely to mull over. Until next time, stay curious, maybe keep a journal, and definitely stay grounded. This has been our deep dive into the Level 3 monster reality theory.